Hi, this is Smash Rundown. If you enjoy movie reviews, short and trailer reactions, you're in the right place. So why not subscribe and hit the like button down below.
Today we're reviewing Escape Room, Tournament of Champions. Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions is a 2021 horror film directed by Robitel, starring Taylor Russell as Zoe Davis and Logan Miller as Ben Miller.
6 people unwittingly find themselves locked in another series of escape rooms, slowly uncovering what they have in common to survive, and discovering they've all played the game before. Starting off with the good. I really like the concept of this movie.
Yeah, the fact that it's previous winners coming in to compete is a pretty cool idea. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, I kind of like I like the idea of that. I just wish they would done that later. We'll talk more about that in the bad.
Yes.
I like in general just the idea of the escape rooms because it's like Saw but not as gory.
Yeah, and the escape rooms are very popular. I wonder if they're still as popular after the pandemic, because just before the pandemic it was like all the rage.
And it's just fun doing puzzles and seeing how things work out. And also knowing that someone's probably going to die and you're so invested in the characters, you're like, no, who's going to end up gone?
And unlike the Saw movies, which most of the traps seem very inescapable, there does seem to be a little bit of a logic to an escape room, so there's a chance that people can survive. So I do like that type of aspect of this game.
I do also, and I think sometimes people complain that the escape rooms are like too easy. But it's because the camera has shown us the way out already, and we kind of forget that the players still need to figure that out because they didn't see what we saw.
But again, we'll discuss the puzzles in the bad, because I think that needs discussing.
Well, just in general, the idea, the going through the rooms without it being so gory, the puzzles, I like that. It keeps my mind quite active.
Yes. And then if you enjoy these types of movies, you're probably going to enjoy this. It's in line with the rest of them.
Like we're saying, it's almost like Saw, so if you like this idea of Saw without all the gore, you might like this. Because the gore is definitely the worst part for me in Saw. I don't like seeing people ripped apart and stuff. It's too much for me. I feel too bad.
There are a lot of the scenes that do get a bit too much. Almost reminds me a bit of what Final Destination became. Wow. Because Final Destination started out as a really good movie.
Also, like little puzzles and stuff for showing us little hints of like how
Figuring
they're
out
gonna
how
die.
they're going to die, yes. But then eventually became, how can we kill people in the most grotesque, gruesome ways possible?
Yeah, which is not for me.
Nah.
I think what made this work is that there's always a lot of suspense in these movies.
Yes.
Like, okay, I figured it out. Are they going to figure it out? When are they going to do this? Oh, they saw the key. That kind of thing. I enjoy that.
They build up the suspense well enough. And then the bad... The people in this movie are so stupid. All of them. Every single one of them, so stupid. Yet they figure out the puzzles very easily. And I know, like, we get shown, like you're saying, probably how the puzzles are meant to be solved. But they are supposed to figure it out. And you would expect a little bit of trial and error from them, a little bit of, let's talk this through, a little bit of, let's try and figure it out. No, they're going straight to the part they need to be at to figure it out. It's weird. It's for stupid people, they figure it out way too easily.
I think maybe they just come across stupid because it's quite traumatic, being locked up in a room and seeing people die constantly. And it's not like you have time to acclimatize to the trauma because there's another trauma every 2 minutes.
No, they're stupid people.
I think my biggest issue with this particular movie, because the first one was really good. I loved the first one.
Was good, yeah.
The second one, they just didn't flesh out the characters enough. Other than the 2 main characters, which had their own issues, the rest of them were just like kind of their one-dimensional things that you knew were just going to die.
The priest was a priest.
Oh, yeah. And what was the other one? The one that couldn't feel pain was just someone who couldn't feel pain. So you knew they were going to do something weird.
Yeah.
It's just, I wanted to care about them. Instead, every time we got to the room, like, okay, I'm pretty sure, someone... This person's going to be next or whatever. And I know I don't really care about them, so I'm not that invested. So when they die, it's like, oh.
Yes.
But it's not like that gut-wrenching like in the first movie, like who's going to be a winner? And who's going to get through this? And I feel like that's why I'm not in love with the Champions theme for this movie. Because what they should have done is given us another 3 or 4 movies and then done the Champion of Champions. Because imagine that. Then you invested in these two, the main characters from the first
Yes.
movie. You invested in the characters like the priest and the woman who can't feel pain and stuff from the previous movies. And now you're putting all of these characters that you've grown attached to in the same movie, and you know they're going to be picked off slowly, and like, oh no, not the priest, who's going to be next? Then you feel like, oh, this is dreadful. It would have been so much more emotional
Yes.
and so much more fun had they put a little bit more investment in for us. And I think they could have done that by having previous movies, or they could have just written a better script that allowed us to get more info on the people. But I just think the Champion of Champions, they spoiled it. They wasted the idea.
And they clearly want this to be a franchise, so it would have made a lot of sense to have 3 or 4 before the Tournament of Champions. Because then it could have... The Saws got a bit much, but they could have had one every 1 or 2 years and gone and gone and gone. And hey, let's have a tournament. Okay, let's start again. Have a tournament. Let's start again. I'm not sure if I would have wanted that, if I think about it. But it would have been better than this. Because I would have cared a bit more.
If they had made the movies as good or almost as good as the first one, I would have gone to watch them.
Yes, but I wonder if they could have maintained their consistency. Because we've seen Halloween, Saw... Let's not talk about Scream, because Scream actually maintained a pretty good quality throughout. But a lot of movies struggle to maintain that high level of hitting the right note every single time.
So then maybe they could have just done 2 or 3 instead of trying to do 10. It would have still been a lot more fun because we would have still had a bunch of characters we care about instead of a bunch of characters that were so one-dimensional we just didn't care when they died.
And we knew exactly who was going to survive in this one.
Which made it boring.
Yeah.
The whole point of these type of movies is who's going next.
Yes.
And because sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes you think this person's going to be the lead in the beginning and they're gone and you're like, well, I didn't see that coming.
So obviously this was not as good as the first one. So I'll just put that out there.
Then just some like more technical things. The audio was mismatched sometimes.
Yeah.
Wasn't just quite right.
And like they'd say something, but clearly they're mouthing something very different. So they've put audio on top of it and pulls you out a little bit.
Yeah.
Not sure what they were doing there.
I don't know what happened. It's not obvious most of the time though, but still.
Yeah.
For
Still
people who are
distracting.
going to nitpick, I didn't find it that distracting. But for people who are going to nitpick, it's going to be distracting.
Yes.
And then lastly, obviously, the tell, don't show.
Yeah, because they kind of exposition the whole way through just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody knows what's going on, everybody's explained everything in entirety. So, yeah, just show us the movie.
At one point where the woman who can't feel pain speaks about, you can imagine what they did to me, to those group. I was thinking, no, show us more flashbacks. Show us, give us a hint of what they did.
Yeah.
That would have been way more fun and way more interesting.
But you don't even need to give us a flashback to tell us a bit more about the person that's there. Because, instead of saying, he's very brave, show us he consistently does brave actions. And okay, well, we know he's a brave character. Or she's very smart, or show us smart things. And not like jump to sudden conclusions smart things, like show us them work it out smart things. Okay, she's pretty bright. Show the priest. The priest kind of showed us his faith at one point, but he walked us through the explanation of why he's showing us his faith. You didn't need to walk us through, just show it to us and, he's got faith. Okay, cool. That's part of his character. But telling us all the time,
I think sometimes they can take some hints or lessons from the shorts that we watch. Because sometimes in the shorts, there's literally no speaking for the whole entire short. Yet we know exactly what they're trying to portray. Because, like you say, with the priest walking, they could have done a lot of things with gestures and stuff to give us that story without the exposition.
We're not stupid.
Yes. To me, those kind of things made it fail. Should have been way better flashbacks. Should have done a lot more showing instead of exposition. It would have been a lot more fun. And obviously, there's a twist in this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the twist, although I saw it coming, long ago. I actually saw it coming in the first murder.
I also think that was a mistake.
Why?
This movie, this franchise shouldn't be about twists.
Why not?
It's a evil corporation running escape rooms.
No, I like
Why
the
more?
twist.
We don't really need more than that. You know, if you can't get the main core concept of it right,
Skip the twist.
skip the twist. Focus on getting your core right, because that can make a great movie. Don't be Saw. Saw was brilliant because it had those twists at the end, and there was always like, okay, wow, I'm surprised. Okay, not always, but the first one, at least.
No, the first one did it 100% right. What do you mean? The concept was great, the execution was great, and the twist in
was
the
good.
end was amazing. I didn't see it coming, and it's very rare that I don't see the twists. So the Saw 1 did it perfect. I even liked Saw 2, I think. The end was good.
A couple of them were good, but if you can't get the core right, don't
Add the big
add
plot
the twist.
Okay.
And there's enough of a core. Saw without the twists is just somebody torturing people.
Yeah.
It's a generic serial killer thing. The core is interesting enough to stand alone
I agree.
without the twist. It's trying to be Saw, and it doesn't need to try and be Saw. Be
Yeah,
its own
100%.
thing. Don't add those twists. Just run with what you got and do it properly.
Yeah, I would have liked more time focusing on the characters so they didn't feel so one-dimensional. I actually cared.
Yes.
Instead of like spending so much time on the twist.
Yes.
I like the twist, don't get me wrong. It's just,
It was to the detriment of the rest of the movie.
yes. And had it been actually executed well with the twist, then it would have been awesome. But yeah, I would have preferred them to focus on what was happening in the rooms and just make it slightly more entertaining.
Yes.
Overall, like we said a little earlier, it's a less gory version of Saw.
Yeah. And to its credit and detriment, I suppose.
Yeah. That leaves us with the ratings. And for me, I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 5.
It's kind of sad. I wanted it to do better because I love the idea.
And it should have done better based off of the quality of the first one.
So these are the total of 5.5.
Yeah. So based off of the first two, because we have to include the first one in this, it's clear they really want to build a franchise similar to Saw. Do you think they should get one?
No, they spoiled it by having the champions of champions now. They should have saved that, and then it could have been an awesome franchise with like this killer end.
I would have liked them to have the confidence to go one more at the very least
at
before
least.
Champions.
I'd have liked at least 2 more, but 1 more at least.
Yeah. It's like they had this idea of Champions that they really wanted to go for, but didn't have the confidence that a second one or a third one would do well at the box office. Or, well, did this even go to the box office? I have no idea. But they didn't have confidence in themselves, so kind of just, well, we'll put out Champions. If it does well, we can keep going with it. Because the end, clearly they want to keep going with it. But I suppose lacking confidence. Let us know in the comments down below. Would you like to see this as a franchise?
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.